Cool.
Cool.
We're here. I'm excited because this has been on my list for a while.
Yeah, we're finally getting to do it. So it's the end of 2023, and we figured it'd be a little bit more interesting to maybe get the update from us this way.
So here we go.
Yeah, I guess starting off, the first thing we wanted to sort of kick it off with was it was a habit. I think a few places we've both been have done in the past, but it was just establishing like a word of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of picked up that habit real early in 2023. So maybe not quite for the whole year, but close to it. For myself, the word that I ended up choosing was trust. Kind of leaning into what I think God has in store for me and what that means for the way I interact with the world. That was sort of the thing I wanted to grow in, and boy, howdy. So here we are. How about you?
Okay, my word was evolve. Living with this guy has really helped me to develop a positive framework around the idea of change. Yeah, this year I've just learned that as humans, we are really built with a capacity for change, and we're built to evolve and grow. And I don't know, it gets me really excited. I think as we talk about the rest of the year, that'll kind of become more evident on the journey we've been on. But for me, that was really empowering.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, okay. So at the beginning of the year, I was listening to one of my favorite podcasters, Tanya Lee, and I'm going to link in the description of the video to her podcast. But she's someone I've been following for a long time. And she was talking about how important it is to prioritize fun. And so I thought that is so fascinating. And one thing she pointed out was oftentimes when we're scheduling out our year, we don't really prioritize fun things on the schedule. And so her challenge was to start planning your year by putting your fun goals on the calendar first, and then fill in the calendar around those items. And so that's what we did. That's kind of where we started the year, was we decided what those big things were that we each thought sounded like fun. We put them on the calendar right at the beginning of the year, and gosh darn it
made a big difference.
It made a huge difference.
We kind of got married and went right into COVID, and so life happened over those next couple of years for us, and that had some big things in it that sort of forced you to put like what you were aspiring to do kind of on the, I wouldn't say the back burner, but like not at the front, right? It wasn't the thing we put out front. And so this year was where that was kind of a big shift.
The year in general, to me, I've kind of dubbed our honeymoon year. I think it's kind of funny. People always say, you know, as soon as you get married, like that's those 2 first years are the honeymoon years. And like James said, we went right into COVID, and I have some health stuff going on and have for a long time. So we needed to take that pretty seriously. And there was just like other big things that happened in life over those first couple of years of our marriage that were really serious. And it was good growth for us as a couple, but it did not feel like a honeymoon. And so I think this is the first year where I feel like we've been able to just kind of develop that kind of, I don't want to say, but kind of blissful like time together, which has been really good.
I think that's kind of been even a byproduct of some of just what has transpired over the year too, right? But it all started with setting those goals, to set out initially saying, okay, what do we want to do? And I guess kind of talking about what those goals were leads right into our trip that we took down to Florida in February of this year. And I guess technically Florida and DC, because we sort of combined it with a work trip that I had, so that helped make things more possible.
I had never seen the ocean. I've been to Florida, but I haven't never seen the ocean up till that point. And I was not much of a person for a bucket list. I didn't have a lot of items I felt like I just had to do in my life or anything like that. But one of the few things on my list was to see the ocean. And so we decided to make that a priority and get me to see the ocean. And so that was kind of the big reason behind that. And we had some money from my brother's passing. And so we were able to kind of make that trip happen in part because of that. But so it kind of felt like a gift from him at the same time. It was just a really special healing thing for me, I think. And then the fact that we got to tack on the DC trip was so special to me because we'd also been wanting to go to DC. I wanted to like meet some of his friends from when he lived there and see kind of the places he worked and lived. And so I was really excited to get to dive into his world a little bit too in that trip. So that's kind of like why we went those two locations.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, it was
you
important.
named the trip, so you should express that.
Well, and so we kind of sort of adopted this idea that if we were calling out what we were expecting from the year, maybe that's a principle we should be applying to even as we travel, right? Even on break, on vacation, stepping away and separating. But yeah, so I was like, well, why don't we make this trip all about leaving the season we're in and emerging into the next? And so we named it Emerge 2023. And it's been really cool to see how setting the expectation can often really help bring it about.
Yes. Highly recommend naming your trips. We were doing a study with our small group with our church. We attend Elevation Church in North Carolina online, and we have an amazing small group through that church that we meet with weekly. And all of their small groups were doing a study on, which book was it?
Ephesians.
It was called Immeasurably More. And we were in the midst of that when we went to Florida, and we spent some really intense time talking through that study together while we were on our trip, and just seeing how much good God wants to bring into our lives was just like hitting our hearts so hard. So that was a big pivot point just spiritually, I think, for both of us, that kind of launched us into the year with just a whole different framework for life.
Like, and all this is happening in February. So it was very early in the year. But so then we like got to spend some quality time with kind of members of our small group while we were down there. We were blessed to have that work out and be able to spend that time. Huge relationship building opportunities. And then we kind of felt almost reinvigorated for really leaning into, okay, what is it we want for what comes next? We were just beginning to kind of have that conversation to say, well, okay, how do we make what matters for us work within the context of saying, I still remain a piece of my own individual self, and also a part of this unit. Right.
So I remember when we came back from the trip, I felt like I had changed so significantly during that time. For one, I absolutely fell in love with the ocean. It was like
cut to B-roll of Kelsey at the ocean.
But it genuinely was, it felt like meeting an old friend. And I was just feeling so healed during my time next to the ocean. And so that was a really, really beautiful thing. But also when we went to DC, we got to meet up with his friends there, and just experiencing a big city in such a positive way. Like I used to be a little more overwhelmed by big cities, and that's not something that affects him the same way. And so really pressing into just getting to explore that with someone and feeling safe to explore that, I loved it. Like I really loved it. And I came back going, I loved the city. Like I loved Florida, and I was like, what is going on? I have always been the girl who's very content to be.
I don't need to go.
I never felt a desire to leave home. I just didn't. And that was genuine to me. This was the first time I feel like God was stirring in my soul the desire to be elsewhere. We had some talking to do because we were both feeling very unsettled in a good way. And so we sat down together one day with our wipe off board, and we're like, okay, we need to get really real and honest with each other about our needs. Then we're like, okay, so we know we're both being called to go, but we don't really know what going looks like yet.
Well, and that's where we kind of explored even some of the options, being like, well, does that mean relocation? Does that mean finding another place that does feel like home? And what is it that home means? Right,
because we still want to be involved with our families, and it's like, what is this going to look like? And that's when his sister said, hey, didn't you guys talk about getting a schoolie for a while? And we were like, oh, yeah, we did, but it just kind of left our minds. And we're like, wait, what if RV life is the answer to this?
What if it actually does work?
So then we're like, I guess we're shopping for an RV or travel trailer or a camper, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We went deep into the research because we didn't want to just do it willy-nilly. We were really serious about it, so we wanted to do it well, but we did it well fast.
Yeah, well, it's kind of we felt like part of what we were learning was this call and response, right? It was like, hey, if we were being called to be able to go, right? Where, we don't know. Why, we don't know. But learning that like what was needed for the next step wasn't a total understanding of everything, but it was doing our due diligence to go, okay, if we're called to this and the course would change, how do we do that wisely? And
then we tore into it and renovated the whole thing.
Yeah, we kind of went, we want to get something that's got, it's in really good condition, and it is. But also, once we started pulling some small things off, we were like, hold on, we know how this works.
Yeah.
We do enough, home renovations and improvements. We were like, wait, that's all that is?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Nuts!
This has become quite the to-do.
Another half inch.
Okay.
Yeah, we were working on it right up until the trip to the weekend trip with Mom and Dad.
Yeah,
so
we took it out for its very first run with my mom and dad because they do some camping. So that first weekend, it went well. Nothing broke or anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling good that weekend, so it was discouraging
you pushed pretty
to
hard
me.
To be ready for it.
Yeah, I had worked really hard to get ready for the trip, and so it was discouraging that first trip because I felt so crappy the whole time. But then in June, we took it out for a week-long trip to Kentucky, and that trip was really good. So we were like, okay, we can do this. It was
kind of the first time we hauled it a little bit further. The first time we learned a little of the ins and outs of how to pull it well.
Yep. Cruising right along. No issues pulling whatsoever. And we just went past a place called Tinkle Chiropractic.
They'll fix all your problems without or with your tinkle.
We were exchanging some video work in trade for our stay. And the thing we took away from that trip is maybe this is how we do this sustainably, is trading our skill sets for staying places. So we're like, okay, we might be able to make this work.
I think I remember us talking about maybe even calling that one the pathfinding trip.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was kind of like, we haven't done this. We're able to do the work that we're offering to trade, and but what's it worth? What does it take from us to do it?
Yeah.
Don't know for sure. We were kind of figuring that out as we went. In this super connected world, there are ways to still trade things that matter beyond just saying, "Oh, I'll send you the money."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
it's really cool to see that. It's a whole
that's
other
been
way
really
of life.
empowering.
Yeah.
That was probably, looking back, a piece of the lesson for me, kind of cycling back to that, what was the year as a trust exercise, going, okay, we proved to ourselves that this is a path we can take. Let's see if it's the path that we're supposed to take.
Right. So
and,
waiting to see what doors he was going to open is like, we've invested like strategically but heavily.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a big lean in for us.
In being able to go, but we weren't sure where God was going to take us yet. So we kind of put that on
and that
pause.
was a big piece of it even. The vision casting was saying we're going to be able to go specifically where we weren't really sure. Yeah. Right? It was more about being poised to strike or being ready to launch, rather than being like so certain that it was in this exact pinpoint on the map. Right. Yep. So that brings us into July/August.
And one of the big things we've got on our plate right now that we've been working on is we started a company called the Bracers Initiative in honor of my brother. And we make bracelets. There, for those of you who are kind of their nerdy geeky group like us, we make them using Dungeons and Dragons dice sets, and it's something that my brother played with his friends and with us.
Yep.
And we had made bracelets from his dice for some of his gaming friends after he passed away, and then thought, you know what, if we could make these bracelets and sell them, we could raise money for causes he was passionate about.
Yeah.
And then also just build a business together, which we both have a lot of entrepreneurial spirit, so we
I'm
like
sure you'll
doing
hear
that.
the tagline, we collect LLCs.
Yes.
Like some people collect other things. We
collect
found
businesses.
new initiatives, and
yeah. So we've been trying to get this up and running. My cousin's been helping us a lot with our website photography and some of the other stuff behind the scenes, and so we're kind of ready to take that the next step. And there's a really huge gaming convention in Indianapolis every August called Gen Con. And we decided we really wanted to go this year and just kind of get to rub elbows with some people, make some contacts, see what kind of interest was out there. So
just kind of exploring it as, I mean, for me, it was like, despite growing up around Indy, it was the first time I'd actually gone into it. And so it was like, well, I need to understand this thing more than just, there's a lot of people that show up and they're pretty cool. Like, people doing business there are interested in supporting things that matter to the community that is there.
So anyways, we did that event together, and that was really special. We kind of made a little weekend getaway of it, and it was a good experience.
It was.
And we're like, okay, we're going to try to get in next year. So we're currently in the process of applying to get a booth for our business. We don't know if we'll get in or not.
It's super competitive, so we may. We may not.
We're just waiting to see.
Should find out, well,
shortly
at the time of shooting in the next 13 days, I think.
Yeah. So we'll see. We don't know. Again, we're just kind of trying to do the next step we feel called to. And if it goes somewhere, great. And if not, God has something else he wants us to do with it. So we're kind of, that was our August, was kind of like moving that forward. And then pivoting into.
Right at the end of August was then moving into September, which was my sister Amy's wedding. But so like we got to sort of experience that environment again. That's just, I think, since our wedding we maybe went to one other one.
Yeah, maybe, but
not many. And so it was just nice being in that environment, being able to celebrate with them.
Seeing someone else get married just brings back all the memories of your wedding, and it just was, I don't know, it was really sweet.
It was
and
good.
then we got to just have fun dancing.
Show off all my moves.
All your moves.
All 6 of them.
I just felt so in love with him through it. Like,
it was,
we were both in
really
the wedding party,
us.
And during the wedding, we were just staying there and we would just look at each other. And it was neat. Getting to see them go through that just brought back really good memories.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Yep. And then we went right into
another. September pivots into October.
Yeah. And we went back in time.
We walked through the Mississinewa 1812 reenactment last year, 2022, in the fall. And, talking to a couple people, made some friends, made some connections, said, we could try it. And you have a little bit of experience with it. I didn't have any. So, we kind of said, let's do that. So that was on our list of things we wanted to do and wanted to be ready for. We had a lot of fun with it.
We did. It was a really good
time.
It
was a nasty weekend.
Oh, it was cold and it was rainy and I got sick, but we still had a good time, and it was special. We met some more people that we're hoping to camp with again next year, which will be fun. That's one thing I will call out about this fella here that I really appreciate, is that like when he decides to try something, he's all in with it. And he really puts himself into it. And so it's been really fun because you went from, I don't know about this, to, well, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right.
Yeah.
And so he's all about getting the full experience. So it was fun.
It let us kind of see what life might have been like for someone with that background living through it. And that kind of humanizes the whole thing in a way that then it's much easier to appreciate it and to say, man, they survived some stuff.
You just appreciate what people went through and what you have a little bit more. But okay.
On to what's next, I think, because that's October. November and December are the holiday season.
Birthday bash on your side. So through the summer and fall, we were making contacts through a random Facebook post. we connected with a really awesome Christian couple down in Florida, in the north central Florida. And they're looking at launching their own business model down there, which includes having RV folks staying with them. It includes some other really cool stuff that they're doing, which I'm sure we'll be talking about in the future.
Soon for them.
But yeah, we reached out to them and said, hey, we do video work and business development. Do you need any help in exchange for staying down there? And they told us at first they thought we were a scam.
And despite thinking we were definitely a scam, which I understand.
Understandable.
Yeah.
But we got on a video call with them and hit it off right away. Yeah. And we could just tell it was a God thing. And yeah, so we're actually going to be living down there for 3 months this winter and helping them build the awesome business model that they have going, and then probably doing a little sightseeing, traveling, maybe get to visit our church in person on the way home.
Yeah. So we've also been doing a lot of prep work on just making our home away from home ready and good to go. I think we're pretty close, but
we're getting
that's
there.
good because it's December.
Yeah. So crazy how at the beginning of this year we were in Florida and our hearts were stirred for something new, and God's sending us back this winter, and just super excited to see what he does with that. Can't wait to see the ocean again.
I mean, just I think for me it's kind of that cycling back to the trust thing. I started just asking for ways to grow in that, right? And through the year, plenty of opportunities, like plenty of things that we couldn't control or could over control, right? And seeing that within 12 months, he's going, yeah, I said I wanted you to go here, and now we're going, and we're going for no small amount of time. It's treating it more like it's a mission than it is just a chance to get away.
I don't know what it's going to look like, but back to my word of evolve, like I feel like I'm not even the same person I was a year or two ago, and I've seen so much growth and evolution in us as a couple. I feel like we're really gelling as a team now. Okay, lightning round.
Yeah, we did have some lightning round questions that we figured a lot of people ask about. People who know us want to hear updates. So, first one, kids.
Yeah.
What the heck are we doing about kids? And the answer is no kids for now. And you made the note on our sheet here that really we're just in a season of birthing ideas. And that's okay. Like for others in that camp, that's okay. Totally cool if you want to and do. That's a good thing as well.
Yeah.
But I think for us, we just really felt like, right now we have a lot of things that we're being called into, and that really isn't one of them. Not right now.
Yeah, we're really content with this little munchkin
at the moment. Fur baby.
The fur baby. Yeah.
Yeah, who recently got a haircut, so she's angsty.
Let's see here.
Next one. Kelsey's health.
Oh yeah, so I think my health's improved a little bit. We were able to get in with a new specialist that's been helping us out a little. I'm just finding what things tend to trigger me more and being strategic about working around those triggers, I guess I would say, or learning.
Kind of planning for some of them.
Planning for some of that so that they don't tank me. For those who don't know, I've had chronic fatigue syndrome for about 10 years now. And there have been times in my life where that was severely limiting. I would say right now is one of the better times. I think we're in a good season at the moment.
Some of the symptoms are a little bit better regulated.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah. So that's good. I'm really hoping to just getting down south and more sunshine seems to help me a lot. So I think that'll be good. The warmer weather will be helpful. So
awesome.
Yeah. Let's see.
James's job.
Oh, your job.
James works.
He works remotely. For those who are wondering how the heck we can travel like that.
That's right. That's like the not all that comedic way is we're kind of like the youngest snowbirds,
Yeah.
At this stage, at least. So I work for a software company out of Washington, D.C., currently working on some commercial projects, and part-timing it with kind of business consulting company on the side, part-timing it with bracers on the side.
Yep. Yep. Help some people with their tech issues now and then.
Yeah. Doing a little bit of that.
Yep. Let's see. Okay, so also we are hoping to start a podcast when we get on the road and upload those episodes now and then, kind of just maybe keep people posted on what we're doing, but probably more just discussing in more detail some of the things we've been learning over the last year, and just we really like having those conversations together. So
we talk a lot, as you've learned, but also like for us it's really important that we unpack the value of what we're learning as we live. And I think sometimes that can benefit other people. I know those are the kinds of things we tend to lean into and invest our time with. Yeah. So hoping maybe that will help for someone else.
Yeah. So if you guys want to be aware when we upload new episodes, they will get uploaded here on the channel. So go ahead and hit subscribe. That'll help our channel out, but it'll also make sure that you guys can see when we pop on here and have something to share. I'm also working on writing a book that kind of stems from a lot of the discussions we had while we were in Florida this past February. So we've got a rough draft written. I'm gonna pass it on to this guy to look over, and so I don't know what the timeline's gonna look like on that, but that's
we'll see when there's news and we can share
it. We'll let you know.
I think that kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
Anything from your camp? Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay.
I think that's kind of been the year in review. Maybe a little longer than a letter, but a little shorter than a book. So
we love you guys. We hope you have a blessed holiday season.
Yep.
And hopefully you'll be hearing from us some more soon.
For sure.
See ya.
Happy 2024.